not doing that anymore, are they? So how do we get them to do it?
Because it worked before we were in the EU, it can work again. It worked for generations.
But how?
So this is just
Practically, how? Tell me. You can't. I imagine you're in favour of forcing people to move homes and cities.
No, I didn't say that.
Right, that's right. So I'm asking you how.
Voluntarily, no, you are obviously a great Remainer, as is half the media, and this is more scaremongering.
I'm actually quite sceptical. I'm willing to take your views.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not trying to trap you, Victoria. I'm just trying to understand how you get people who may be living in.
If you let me explain.
Yeah, please. How would you physically get them into the fields to do the work they don't want to do?
Right. Stop interrupting when I say something you don't like. This is exactly what
listen. Let's have a civil conversation. I'm not interrupting, right? Please don't. Okay. I'm not trying to trap you, okay? I'm going to let you answer, but this needs to be a two-way flow. I really don't like it when people say stop interrupting, because actually I've got the right to ask questions, and so I'm going to ask you for the third time: how would you physically get people to relocate?
They don't relocate permanently. I was trying to explain. You used to get people coming out of London to work in the fields in Kent in the summer, which they enjoyed, and they did voluntarily, as did the people from Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire come over to Lincolnshire voluntarily as part of their routine to work in the fields.
I'm going to ask you for the fourth time, Victoria. I'm going to ask you for the fourth time. People are no longer voluntarily relocating, so how would you convince them to relocate when they don't want to? People are not applying for those jobs. For the fourth time, what is your practical solution? Don't tell me about what happened in the past. What is your practical... Let me finish the question. What is your practical solution to get people to go from certain cities to other cities when they do not want to relocate?
Listen, it was not relocation. You've missed the point. It was seasonal. They worked seasonally and went back home. They did not relocate.
Victoria, for the fifth time, they are not doing that anymore. So even if it's temporarily, for seasonal periods, how would you convince them practically? Tell me, what is your party's policy to practically... You are a politician. You belong to a political party. I'm asking for a policy solution, not what used to happen in the past.
I've given it to you.
No. When people don't want to voluntarily relocate, please tell me how you will convince them, even if it's only for one season. What incentives would you give them? What is your party's policy? If somebody lives in, say, Luton, and you want them to go to Kent, right? What is it practically you say to them to convince them to move when they haven't already applied for these jobs, which is evidently the case?
It's not about moving. It is a seasonal job. People did it for generations, and besides, if they're in Luton, they'd be going to...
All right, you're not going to answer the question, Victoria. I'm recognising it's a temporary seasonal job. I'm still asking you how you would convince them to take that temporary seasonal job, because it involves moving cities for the season. And you're refusing to... Either you don't know the answer, or you don't want to give me an answer. And so, again, I'll give you one last chance before we have to end this interview. So that for the sixth time, what incentives, as a political party, what is your policy in convincing people to see... Yes, I am. For a season, Victoria, for a season, temporarily, for the period of a season, how would you convince somebody to move cities for that season, for that period, temporarily, albeit it may be? What policy do you have in place to help people move for that season? Because a season is still a few months.
I don't think you understood my answer. Seasonal worker scheme stopped because of the EU migration. This is the thing that can replace what's been happening, and it worked for generations, and it will work again. It doesn't force people to relocate. You've missed the point. It may not be whole families. They come and work for the season. They go back after the season. And that worked for generations. That is certainly not relocation, and you're putting words in my mouth. And the policy worked very well for centuries.
Victoria, thank you for talking with me today. I don't think I've misunderstood your question. I don't think you've answered the question that I'm asking, but nevertheless...
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.